Hello, I am Varsha Gupta, working as Assistant Professor, Department of Biotechnology, Chhatrapati Shahuji Maharaj University, Kanpur. I would giving a presentation on COVID-19 pandemic. As we all know, in December 2019, there was outbreak of pneumonia of unknown etiology in Wuhan, Hubei province, China, and the virus was identified as Sars Co2, which is the seventh identified member of coronavirus family, and it shares 80% of the gene sequences with other coronavirus family viruses such as severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus and Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus. The SARS coronavirus, which is SARS CoV-2, is now known to transmit from human to human, though the virus is of animal origin. And this virus is a member of family of single-stranded enveloped RNA viruses, and its genome has a number of open reading frames. Its first ORF contains most of the viral genome and encodes 16 non-structural proteins, while the other ORFs encode structural and accessory proteins. And its spike protein is supposed to interact with our angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptor, which is present on many host cells. And genomic characterization of SARS-CoV-2 showed a high homology degree between SARS-CoV-2 and SARS-CoV, and the spike protein, which is made up of S1 and S2 subunit, is supposed to interact with ACE2, but the interaction of this receptor with ACE2 is 10 to 20 times more stronger than its other counterparts, which were previously known to infect humans. SARS-CoV-2 symptoms can be asymptomatic or may be associated with coronavirus disease 2019, which is referred as COVID-19, and spectrum of respiratory clinical manifestation range from fever, dry cough, dyspnea to pneumonia, pulmonary edema, acute respiratory distress syndrome, and multiple organ failure. Apart from that, it also involves headache, hemoptysis, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Diarrhea is a frequent symptom in SARS-CoV-2 infection, and because of this, stools of infected children raises the possibility that the virus may be transmitted through contaminated fomites, because the life of the virus is prolonged in GIT rather than in the respiratory system. So massive efforts should be taken to prevent spreading of the infection among children after reopening of kindergartens and schools. How can we reduce risk to coronavirus infection? There has been advertisement and guidelines in the radio and TV also. So hands are to be cleaned regularly. Nose and mouth are to be covered while coughing and sneezing. Close contact with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms should be avoided. Meat and eggs should be thoroughly cooked, and unprotected contact with live, wild or farm animals should be avoided. Respiratory hygiene also can be maintained by gargling with lukewarm saline water for protection of nasopharynx, oropharynx, and posterior part of nasal tract. Essential prevention by using mask, but mask has to be cleaned in soap and water, or it should be autoclaved. And we should not be loud while speaking. And for precautions for clothing should be removed and soaked in water, and flickering of clothing or protective covering should not be practiced. What are the activities? Because majority of the countries are under lockdown these days, including India. So we can exercise at home, eat healthy, smoking and alcohol is prohibited, meditation and reading books or pursuing other hobbies can be done while staying at home. Typical symptoms of coronavirus infection include fever in 98%, cough in 76%, dyspnea in 55%, myalgia in 44%, and headache in 8% of the patients. WHO has launched a chatbot with Rocket and Viber. Government of India has also launched Arogya Setu app for fight against COVID-19, having key features of maintaining social distance, taking self-assessment tests, say hi without handshake, avoid social gathering, and keeping distance between people. WHO recommends fight, unite, and ignite a global movement to ensure this never happens again. Epidemiology of COVID-19, diarrhea is reported in many patients apart from these respiratory symptoms. So far, no vaccines have been developed to prevent COVID-19, but several potential vaccines are being tested. But before we have vaccines, masks and gloves should be regularly worn. Frequent hand hygiene has to be maintained. Travel restriction and avoiding contact with people suspected or confirmed to be infected will help. And the presence of virus in the stool and its long-term fecal persistence suggests that orofecal transmission is possible. So contact with possible sources of contamination like saliva, vomiting and feces should be avoided, and personal protective equipment should be worn. Care of patient and healthcare workers is of prime importance, and it should be taken with full attention. Current medication for COVID-19, there is no specific treatment for COVID-19, and its management is mainly based on supportive care. However, some monoclonal antibodies targeting the receptor binding domain of the spike protein can inhibit the contact between the virus and ACE2. Other attractive target can be TMPRSS2 protease, playing a crucial role for viral infection. This comostat mesylate is a known inhibitor of TMPRSS2 and is already approved in Japan for some clinical conditions, and it is possible that this agent may work for COVID-19. A randomized controlled open trial has evaluated efficacy of lopanavir, ritonavir combination. These are two protease inhibitor, but some success has been achieved. Chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine were used for the treatment of SARS and MERS and were effective in reducing coronavirus replication. In vitro studies, both drugs reduced Sars CoV2 replication, but hydroxychloroquine had greater inhibitory power than chloroquine. No evidence on the efficacy of antidiarrheal drug was available, but China's National Health Commission has recommended the use of probiotics for the treatment of patients with severe COVID-19 in order to preserve intestinal balance and to prevent secondary bacterial infections. So, a review investigated preclinical data and ongoing clinical trials, providing sufficient information on the efficacy of hydroxychloroquine for COVID-19 treatment. And based on this evidence, the Food and Drug Administration has recently approved hydroxychloroquine as a therapeutic option for SARS CoV2 infection. The use of baricitinib, a JAK kinase inhibitor, was proposed for the treatment of COVID-19. Azithromycin and ruxolitinib are currently undergoing testing for their efficacy in treating COVID-19. The potential of these strategies is not only for ameliorating the consequence of the current emergence of SARS CoV2, but also for the future emergence of new viruses or mutated ones for which we are completely unprepared and for which no vaccines are available. So, currently studies are going on, vaccines are tested, medicines are under trial, but still science can successfully ameliorate the virus and its incidences. Till the vaccine is developed for this virus, everybody is requested to follow government's guidelines, stay home, stay safe, not only for your country, but for yourself and for your family. I thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you so much.